What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Today, we're doing a 30-minute podcast talking about the Galaxy. It's a compact schedule, compact week. They just played yesterday. They got another game going on Wednesday, and then obviously El Tráfico this upcoming weekend. So, a lot to get into. Let me introduce my guests. We got Jonny Bolin once again, and we also got Alex Ruiz. Jonny, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. It was a sad week, but let's just say I calls it like I sees it, right?
Hey, that's what we have you here. Alex, how you doing?
Ignoring the Galaxy match, doing pretty good. Definitely a lot to talk about and a lot that went wrong, but overall, doing pretty good.
Yeah, look, we first have to address for the people that are not watching. We have to address. You guys are wearing the suits. Let's talk about the suits. Why you guys dressed up in the suits? I missed the memo, obviously.
I'll just start with me. Every time I do like a live show or something, I always try to look nice, dress to impress, right? So it's kind of my motto.
Hey, I like it. I like it. You're Alex. You're going places, brother. I can already tell you're gonna go places. Jonny, talk to me about the suit.
I saw Alex wearing the suit. I felt really left out, and I also felt like, we got to dress to impress. We dress better than the other side. We look better than the other side. That's just how we do it, though. That's just how we do it over here.
It's just how Galaxy fans roll.
That's just
That's
how
just
Galaxy fans roll, baby.
That's how Galaxy fans will. Hey, look, respect. I love the way you guys are doing. You guys look sharp, man. You guys look sharp. I like it. I'm definitely gonna have to get some pointers from you guys because I didn't compare. I didn't come prepared with the suit. But yeah, look, let's talk about this game. We have limited time. Uh, it was a game that I felt going into it that it was a game where Galaxy had an opportunity to bounce back, an opportunity to get 3 points with the worst team in MLS, right? Obviously that happened. They lose 2-0. They're trending down the wrong direction now. I think it's 7 game winless streak. Not at this time of the season is when you want us committing these or lose out on these type of points. Jonny, talk to me about the LA Galaxy and how you saw this game going into it, and well, ultimately it came out the 0-2 loss.
It's nothing new to us, nothing new to the Galaxy. You guys remember I said this last week. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Galaxy just bombed it against Austin. And I'm going to say what I said. Last week with Minnesota, as Austin came to play. Man, their audience, same thing. The crowd, that was a playoff crowd, dude. That was loud there. Those players came and they were nasty. They came to win, and we didn't do that. And I think that the expectations in our locker room has been lacking. I feel like a lot of the players are just expecting to get better results and going out there not putting their best foot forward. And I talked about this on Twitter yesterday. It's hard to say like, oh, Klein out, Klein out. When we do, we have all the tools. We have a great manager. We have great players. It just seems like something's not working right now in the locker room. Which we've seen that happen all over the world with really competitive teams. We made a lot of changes in the season, and a lot of players got to learn how to play together. And I think yes, it sucks, but I'm still not really worried. Even though we're winless in 7 games, it's like I'm not insanely like worried.
Fair enough. Fair point. Alex, are you worried about this team, or what are your thoughts about this team so far with
I'm
what's been going
worried,
on?
but at the same time, I'm really not. Just because heading into the season, right? We were nowhere near considered before the season started a contender for MLS Cup. Let's get that out of the way first. It's not like we had a stacked squad like LAFC, right? They were supposed to be the real contender this year, having all their players. Maybe the last time they'll have them, and look where they are now, right? Bombing down the standings. The Galaxy, the best thing that, or the highest expectation we had was top three finish at best, right? We knew we weren't going to win MLS Cup. We knew this was going to be a project, and to be honest, that really good start we got off to the beginning of the year just really that drove us to think, hey, we can compete for a title now, a lot more ahead of schedule than we originally thought. And honestly, I think this past month has just shown how raw this team is in general, and how this is just really a project that still is in the process where we haven't gotten the best of our players yet, and we still need to learn how to play together, especially since we've kind of gotten some of our players together, all our best players, but not really. Derek Williams wasn't playing. Derek Williams is definitely center back number one, and he's definitely a big piece that we're missing so far. Hopefully, we get him back for El Tráfico, but we'll see how he does in his recovery from that injury.
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about. You guys hit on a lot of different great points. Because where this team was before to now, obviously there's more of a direction, right, from last year to this year. But obviously whenever you're in a 7-game winless streak, it's not going to feel good, especially with the type of talent. And obviously, there are a lot of new guys moving in. I think one thing when I want to talk about the lineup, because Alex, you wrote another great article, to recap the game, and I'm gonna pull up here the lineup. I was very surprised to see Vasquez up there with Chicharito when you have Dejan obviously on the bench and what he does. Obviously, maybe Greg Vanny want to have him as a second half sub, but like where this team has been trending currently, I was a little surprised that he just not went all out and had Dejan Chicharito. Yeah, you may be limited or who could potentially sub them off, but like look, you could potentially put the game away. Johnny, what were your thoughts when you saw that lineup? Well, specifically Victor Vasquez up top with Chicharito, because he does facilitate really well. But when you have another striker that you brought in, I thought that was a little interesting for me.
Vasquez is a maestro on the ball. He's really is. He's a master, and he's getting older, and that just means he has a harder time keeping up. But I mean, some of the passes that you saw during the game, I feel like answers that question pretty well. He wanted to support Chicha. He wanted to give Chicha those tools. He wanted someone to drive the ball up the field and then give it right to Chicha at his feet in the box. Because that's the big thing. When you see Chicharito in the box making these runs and everything, the most stressful part is him not getting the balls that he needs. And he'll yell, he'll do what he has to do. He'll make that clear. So I guarantee you, even Chicha thought that was a great idea. Get Vasquez there. Vasquez is a razor accurate passer. Put him next to Chicha, give him those opportunities. It's gonna fix itself. And I thought that was a great idea. I actually liked it. It was weird. It was unconventional, and I felt like it might work. But at the end of the day, it's also taking away from this consistency that we talk about, this consistency that we need. And yeah, if that would have worked this game, that would have been cool. But Vasquez isn't going to play up top every game. I'd rather have Joveljic play up top every game, or heck, even Cabral, even though he's been having issues. So that's just my biggest thing is I get it, but our big issue is we need to be consistent. We need to have more consistent lineups, and having Vasquez up there, it's not going to be consistent at all, and it's not going to solve any of our problems, our long-term problems.
Fair enough. Alex, I know you wrote about this on your article. I'm gonna share the article here, but give us your thoughts about the lineup and having Vasquez up top.
Yeah, Vasquez was interesting. I knew he wasn't going to play like a forward striker like Chicharito does. He was going to drift more in the middle, kind of a free roaming role, kind of like a false nine a little bit, where the only reason he's there is to just give passing support for Chicharito, for Cabral, or Leggett, whoever's out there making those runs. And we saw that that one chance I remember too. Vasquez hit it right as Leggett was cutting into the back line, and it was almost right there. Leggett just needed to pass it to Chicharito, and there would have been a goal. But you see the quality Vasquez has on the ball, and that's something this team hasn't had. I thought Efrain Alvarez could have been that guy. I think Alvarez should be molded into the next Victor Vasquez. I feel he has those qualities. He has the vision of Vasquez. He has the technical ability of Vasquez, and I think he can potentially be the replacement for Vasquez, because we know he's 34 years old. So I think Alvarez definitely needs to be taking notes from Victor Vasquez. Interesting that we got to see him play for a pretty big chunk of the game. I thought maybe 60 minutes would have been the max for him. He's not a 90-minute guy. Maybe bring in Joveljic or Efrain for that matter. But I thought Vasquez's time was a little too much. The last 10 minutes he played, he was literally a non-factor at all in the attack going forward. But I think Vasquez is still an important part to this team. You just have to manage his time with what he plays, because once he's kind of gassed a little bit, he really doesn't do much afterwards to help the team in the attacking portion of the pitch.
Yeah, I think that's one of his limitations, right? Vasquez is an amazing player, amazing passer. He gets the money on the ball, but obviously I see him more as a number 10. I don't see him. Yes, he can play a supporting striker, yes, but I think just Joveljic can do so much more, and all those different things that assist Chicharito a little bit more, especially in the situation that they're currently right now. It's in a desperate situation. Like, by no means they're out of the playoffs or anything like that. But I just felt like Joveljic probably could have done something, and you could have had Vasquez at the 10, or either 4. I know they went with the 4-4-2. You bring him off the bench. You're right. Someone's gonna have to sacrifice if you go to a 4-4-2. But like, if you go guns blazing against a weak team, against Austin, obviously a pretty embarrassing 0-2 loss. Let's talk about some of the defending. Unfortunately, I gotta play some of the goals and the way these were scored, because I think it's very important to see how weak Galaxy's defense really is. Look, if we're gonna be honest, there's no other way to put it. This defense is pretty weak, and if they're gonna make a deep run, we keep talking about it, but I don't know who's gonna step up because Koulibaly is not looking like the guy anymore. Koulibaly was getting bodied. He did not look like a center back that makes you feel comfortable to be up there, right? Be alongside pairing there. So let's I'm gonna play the first goal here.
Juicy. Gite! And again Gite! This time he does it! And Austin FC's supporters have a new hero to acclaim.
Johnny, when that goal went in, and I was like, when I saw that, and I was like, no way, I can't believe Austin scored first, and they got the lead. I was like, this team is not that good. What went through your mind?
And nothing really. I mean, like, I hate to say it like that, but it's expected at this point, right? Because the big problem is, and we saw this against Minnesota, is that we're not putting enough pressure on these guys. And the problem is when you have a clean, hard strike like that, and you're going to assume, okay, it's going to get deflected, and nobody's there. He has that much time. 5 seconds must have passed. That was insane. The only guy back there was Araujo. And it's like, it's embarrassing to an extent to see like how much pressure that these guys aren't putting on the offense. And, like I said, it's like, I want to say I'm surprised. I want to say I'm frustrated, but I think this is just our expectation at this point. So it's hard to be especially disappointed.
Yeah, look, it's a long season, but especially when you haven't won and you're playing essentially a gimme game. Look, obviously Austin FC is a newer club in town, but by no means, obviously, look, they have a packed house. It looks amazing. It definitely feels like it's a very tough place to play in, but it looks more for them. They've not had a good, successful season so far, right? They're in last place. I just felt like this was a great bounce back game for them, for the Galaxy. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But Alex, when that first goal went through, what were your thoughts on the defense and the play?
It was definitely very frustrating to see, right? Just so many problems with this defense. It's crazy how this has been a problem for maybe like 4 years now, and it still hasn't been solved. It's crazy. Sega Koulibaly is probably our fourth best center back, if we're being honest. Daniel Steres is ahead of him. Nick DePuy, I think, is ahead of him as well. And Nico Heimelainen coming on in the second half. I understand it was for injury for Villafania, but Nico was a huge liability. And in that goal, he literally did not pressure the winger out there. I played left back for like one game, and my coach grilled me once because I didn't pressure the guy who was on the wing. He told
Nico,
me,
if you're hearing,
yeah, he told me your job is to make sure he doesn't cut in or cross into the box. And I didn't do that, and I got grilled for it. I got yelled at. I got all these things told at me, and I'm just like, okay, now I know. And if I was Greg Vanny, I'd be telling the same thing to Nico. Put your body in front of him as best as you can. Make it hard for him to play the ball forward and instead try to make him play back. That's the goal that Nico Heimelainen needs to work on, because so far in all the games he's played, he hasn't been able to do that.
No, he's definitely, look, if we're talking about Nico, he's been more of a liability. At first, he came out hot. I was like, look, he's going to replace Villafania. These are the thoughts that were going through my head. He looked really good. And then El Tráfico happened. He got that penalty, and I think he also got a penalty when he was playing internationally, got called up. So since El Tráfico game, he has not looked good. We've seen, I think he may be a hot and cold player, but like he's not someone you feel comfortable having there because of these little mistakes. And also, look, if we put the second goal up there, like he also obviously, I think it was going in no matter what. But I'm gonna play it here so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Lima gains. What an introduction. Mackenzie Gaines, the first Austinite ever to represent the club.
So obviously, before that play, this didn't show in the replay, but Koulibaly got I think they either got body or got left, and then Austin FC crossed the ball, and the Gaines, Austin FC, the players that's in front of him is Nico. Nico doesn't step up to try to do something. He turns his body again, just like the Minnesota game, and I think it's just very frustrating. Johnny, when you see that, what are your thoughts on Nico?
Just frustrating. No consistency. I mean, when we first got him, like you said, it was really awesome. But I mean, what really is there to say about him? He's not consistent, and that's what we need in this team is consistency. When people are healthy, like for a long time, we weren't playing with healthy players. We weren't 100% the entire season. And it's like it's just going to go that way. We're going to kill ourselves by not being consistent and continue finding ways to play these players like Daniel Sturgeon junk. But you get my point. It's just it's just going to F with our consistency. He's not consistent. Put him on the bench and find a way to not get him on. I get that Villafani's hurt, and I get that like we're trying to get him to full health, but sign someone else, get someone from G2, do something. This isn't working, man. Like this just isn't working. Like make the guy earn his spot.
Yeah, look, it's tough. It's really tough on that situation because obviously right back for the most part, Jonah Araujo has that locked down. Center back position, it's tricky. How do you feel? What were your thoughts on Koulibaly? Because we didn't get your thoughts on Koulibaly, Johnny.
Same thing. It was just kind of like a gradual decline, right? It seems like he's kind of a head case. Like when he first came on, he was doing so well, and he seemed like a really powerful strength on the ball, and especially with Williams, he seemed like he was doing great. But as games started going on, as he started messing up and having these getting bodied off the ball, it seemed like it really got to his head, and now he just seems like a head case. And what I don't understand, and I said this last time, put Depew in. If we're gonna keep putting Stirs in every single game and stuff like that, but not give people like Depew a chance where we've liked his results, it just doesn't make any sense at all to me. Put Depew in, and if for Koulibaly or Stirs, probably Stirs because I'm biased. But in Koulibaly's situation right now, just because he's so much of a head case, it'll probably be nice just to see him sit out a game and just kind of like catch up with himself, especially with LAFC over the horizon. The guy just needs time to figure out what's going on with him because he has the ability. We've seen him do really well. It just, again, I said it 12 times already. He's a head case right now.
Yeah, I wonder if he's trying to do too much. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're still getting adjusted. He's probably trying to do too much, but it's not working out in his favor. Alex, let's talk about this. Obviously, with the weaknesses that the Galaxy have, how do you feel about that formation? So they say 4 in the back. Should they go back to I know they tried a couple times to 5 in the back. How are you feeling about the best way the Galaxy can potentially switch this around?
Yeah, I just wrote in my article. I was like, I think it's time to really consider switching to 3 or 5 in the back, depending on how you want to play attacking wise as well. But I think it's time. I mean, we have 3 decent quality center backs who can perform well. We need to give Nick Depew another chance because when players are injured, he's stepped up and he's played decently well during those times. I know Greg Vanney is going to rotate the squad in Utah, so why not give Depew a start? Why not start him for Sega or Steres? This is your time to experiment right before LAFC against RSL. Sure, the games in Rio Tinto Stadium haven't gone our way, but still, you can still try to experiment here and there, not tinker too much. Don't become a mad scientist with the lineup, but still tinker a little bit and try to see what lineup gets the best out of you. Tinker with a back 3 or back 5. I personally think a back 5 is what the Galaxy need right now. It could turn into a back 6, considering Ryan can possibly play a 6 role and become that 4th center back in that back line. But I think that this team kind of needs to switch up the formation because we played with 4 in the back for so long that at this point, I think a refresher is needed and we need to play a back 3 or back 5.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it needs a different look. It needs a little bit more support. But obviously, if you go 5 in the back, the offense is going to change, right? What happens up top? Do you go 5-3-2? It's like it's different ways you can go about it and switch it up. But I think right now, even Chicharito at times, I guess he was getting some type of he had opportunities. Look, let's not get it twisted. Galaxy had the opportunities, even though at times it might have been limited. Chicharito had one that he could. I think he had one in the opening second of the game, and then one in the second half. It just wasn't enough. I think he got the ball in his head or whatever, and it just the shot was not enough for it. And just so sometimes it goes. Sometimes it's just not tonight. But Johnny, what are your thoughts on the defense on the formation? What Alex was talking about? Do you feel like they should go on a 5 in the back, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I've always been a fan of that. I remember when Alex said that a couple weeks ago. I was like, hell yeah, dude! I love that. I love wing backs. Araujo is just that's his position. He's an amazing wing back. I definitely think 5 in the back would be great. We did test it against Houston, but the guy in the center, I'm beating a dead horse here, but the guy in the center, it was Stirs, so maybe that was our issue. But I definitely think we should keep trying to do 5 in the back. Have Villafania when he's back play like a wing back position. He kind of did that with Portland, and then have Araujo play wing back. and we're dangerous right there. That's just a great way to add to our offense, add to our attack. And hey, if we can't make a consistent attack, then play on a counter attack. Sit back, let them make a mistake. We've played like that before. We do great like that. We understand that we want to like be this force, have like this, this consistent like possession. But hey, it's not working. It's not working. It's not rocket science. Change it up a little bit. Sit back, have 5 in the back, play on a counter attack, and I guarantee you, we would see it would be night and day. I couldn't agree with Alex more on that. 5 in the back, 100%.
Yeah, we've seen 5 in the back. At times it's worked, at times it's been, it has not worked. But I think with so much inconsistency for this team and this team that has deep playoff aspirations, and we saw how hot they were in the beginning of the year. Now it's unfortunately they're getting cold at the wrong time, especially, and they essentially they got everybody back, right? And the thing about the MLS season, it's really long, and you got to be able to play through these things, right? So you got to be able to fight. So I'm gonna pull up here the standings for the LA Galaxy, because look, what do we got? Like 9 games left. If we look right here, obviously the Galaxy have dropped to 5th place with 38 points. In 6th place, a point behind them is Minnesota United with 37. RSL, who they play on Wednesday, with 36 points in 7th. Obviously LAFC outside looking in, with 33 points in the 8th spot. But yeah, if you're looking at that, Portland is 2 points above you, right? And then obviously Colorado. I think Galaxy have to get the top 4 spot. If you really want to make a deep run, you got to have some type of home field advantage, right? I think definitely like the 3 are number third, maybe even second. I don't know. I don't know if that's way too far out. But with the amount of games left, Kansas City's at number 2 spot with 46 points. Colorado's 45, Portland 40. Obviously, I already mentioned Galaxy 38. When you see the standings, Alex, how you feeling, or where would you like the Galaxy end up by when the season's over?
I mean, obviously the best expectation is to have that 4th seed locked up, have 1 home game for the playoffs, but I don't think the Galaxy are going to earn that. I just don't think they're there yet as a team. And personally, I think Minnesota or RSL, one of them is going to hop over us this Wednesday. I just see that happening. This Galaxy team, started off really good, and it's crazy. They've been winless in 7, and they basically stayed in the same place for that whole time. It's absolute crazy. This team is, I've said this before, this team's more lucky than it is good, to be honest. Most of the results have been a little bit of luck, and also, too, some scores have gone your way. So a lot of luck definitely on that front. But I think the Galaxy at the end of the season can end up with the 6th or 7th seed, 5th seed at best. I just don't think they've earned a home playoff game just yet.
Johnny, what are your thoughts? Where would you like to see them, or where do you think they're going to end up?
I mean, really, like either 5th, 6th, or 7th. I don't think we're going to get a home playoff spot. And here's the thing, like, and it's bad because I always have pretty low expectations, especially when like we just have such like massive holes in our defense and we're not changing anything. But again, this is MLS, and part of the charm in the league is things that aren't supposed to happen every single week. It's so common. So like I said last week, we're going to lose to Austin. I definitely think we're probably going to tie Real Salt Lake this time, or I possibly get a W.
They get smacked around, but was it the Timbers? I think they got smacked around by the Timbers. Was it 6-1? I think it was the Timbers. Let me look that up.
Yeah.
That was the Timbers.
Was it Timbers?
And with that, even with that being said, though, it's like it's hard to go into these games and say like, okay, like, are we going to go in winless? I don't think we're going to win. I think we're going to tie, but I definitely don't think that we're going to have a good spot in the playoffs. I mean, I'd be happy if we even get in the playoffs. That's kind of my mindset with it is, let's not kid ourselves. The idea of not making the playoffs is a very realistic idea. We could very well screw this up, and that's very on brand for us, especially in the last couple of years. So like, let's just be happy with the playoff spot. I think we can get a tie out of Real Salt Lake, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Galaxy are going to go. I think it's going to be a boring as hell game, and I think it's going to be 1-1 tie. But yeah, we just have to sit and watch. Hopefully we can even make the playoffs. I'm happy if we do.
Yeah, look, not a lot of optimism there. Look, since covering this team, last couple of years, I feel like this is the most optimistic I've ever felt about the Galaxy, because it's just who's at the helm, right, and who's coaching them. But unfortunately for Greg Vanney, it's not working for him at the moment, and what he's putting out there. Alex, what are your thoughts on Greg Vanney? Obviously, it's in the winless streak. It's a tough stretch. By no means is the season over. But what are your thoughts on how Greg Vanney has handled this situation so far?
I'm 50-50 with on it. I think he's done his best, right? He can't control the players like it's FIFA, He can't tell them or have them make these runs that you
Wait,
want
did
them
you
to
say
do.
FIFA?
Yeah, you can't control them like your manager in FIFA. You can't do that. So he's doing the best he can do. Obviously, there's some issues. Like, I think he's using the subs a little too late, or just like waiting for the game to, I guess, slow down to put in those subs, which ends up being too late. And that's really my main criticism when it comes to Greg Vanney. But overall, there's no other manager I'd have dealing with the situation than Greg Vanney. Knowing him, he knows what it takes to win MLS. He knows how good teams become great teams. He's done that in Toronto. So I know Greg Vanney wasn't brought in for this season to win MLS, but the expectations for next season are definitely going to be a lot higher, knowing that we've been capable to be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. But so far, with what Vanney's done in this 7-game stretch, I think it's been okay, but not amazing.
Hold on. Are you guys already looking to next season? Because I can tell you, Chicha, Vanney.
I'm not looking towards next season. I'm just saying the expectations for this year were lower compared to next year. How we're gonna have them when it comes to previewing the season is gonna be a lot higher for the Galaxy.
Fair
I'm not
enough,
necessarily giving up on the season just yet. I'm just saying that right now, or before the season started, expectations were 6th, 7th seed, not top 3, top 4 seed in the Western Conference. But next season, that will be the bar.
That will be the bar. Look, they can still finish up there, so we'll see if they has. Quickly, I want to say the Commercial Underground says the best dressed podcasting team in the biz.
Just
Hey,
the
look,
LA
these guys-
Galaxy
these guys-
side.
these
Just the LA Galaxy side.
Just the LA Galaxy side.
Just the LA guy. And look, these guys are carrying the team. They're carrying me. Look, I'm wearing my LA Soccer sweater, so that's I gotta represent. But go ahead, Johnny. I know you had something to say.
I want to comment on that. I said this at the beginning of the season. I said it throughout the season. When you get a new coach, you get tons of new players, and we've gotten a lot. The amount of new players that we've gotten. On
17 new players.
17 new, exactly.
It's bananas. And not to bring FIFA back into this, but chemistry is a real thing. And developing chemistry and learning how to play together is a real thing, and that takes time. So and we've seen this happen all over the world. When clubs get tons of brand new players and they have to learn how to play together, you'll see these amazing players fail consistently, and it's because they just don't know how to play together. So it's like, yeah, like we shouldn't be moving on to the next season and thinking next season. I've been saying this since the beginning, since we've been signing all these guys. It's going to take a while to learn how to play together. I definitely think with an off season, everyone getting healthy, everyone getting on the same page, everyone practicing together, that's going to make a world of a difference. Like next season, the Galaxy is going to be really tough. But that's why I think I'm not too discouraged with how things have been going this season. Is we're learning how to play together. We're learning, how to play with Bond, what Bond wants as a keeper. We're learning how to use our wings. We're learning how to make Cabral comfortable, how to make Chicha comfortable. We're learning the strengths of Victor Vasquez. Even though he's a fantastic passer, where can we get the most of him? Mm-hmm. So I think that this is just trial and error, and I think that we're using this season and a lot of these games to just kind of figure it out.
No, look, you make a lot of great points. I 100% agree with you. I think a player like Cabral is going to take a whole nother year to really see if he is the real deal or he's going to be a bust, right? Because it's not looking good. But even though if he does not have a good successful season his first year, yes, he's a DP. Yes, he needs to be doing a lot better. Yes, he's been disappointing. He's not worth the $1 million right now. But I think you still got to give him time. You still got to give him another year to really see that. Let's get some final thoughts here because we got a couple minutes. I agree with you guys, but I feel like Chicharito, Vanney, they have expectations of winning the championship this year. This is something they've said. This is not something I've. Looks like you got an image. Oh my goodness!
Oh wait, wrong way. I can't get out of the freaking.
But
way.
look. Let me just finish about. They have expectations to win it this year. Okay, Johnny, explain your love for Daniel Stairs.
We all know. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but all I'm gonna say, I said this 2 weeks ago, is everything seemed to go wrong when this guy joined. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that.
He's like Deadpool. Try to kill him, comes back stronger.
Alex, let's get your final thoughts before we wrap up the show.
Well, yeah, this team right now just needs to find that win, that one goal. Start the game off with the first team, the Galaxy. Start the game off with you scoring the first goal in the match, because that's really what the team needs in order to build confidence. Once they go down, the characters on our team, I feel like they lose confidence immediately. I feel like that's something that I've seen all season long, where the rest of the players, once they've, I guess, had a little bit of adversity during the game, they kind of just don't have that passion to get better or that flair to want to fight a little bit harder. I don't think the team's there just yet. I think it's still really young, still really raw. We saw them play so good at the beginning of the year, and honestly, that's the highest potential that we've seen them play for a while. But right now, this is how they should have been playing it to start the year, to be honest. They shouldn't have been that good to start off the year. I wasn't expecting that. I don't think many other Galaxy fans were expecting us to be the number one team in the Western Conference 5 games in, 6 games in. I wasn't expecting that. This team's really raw, still needs a lot of coaching, 17 new players, need to build chemistry, need a full offseason to really get to know one another personally and on the training pitch. I'm not quitting on this year. All I'm saying is that we're hitting the reality that should have been this season, but because of the good start we had, these expectations got higher, and now that we're playing where we were, I guess, assuming we were going to be 6-7 seed, it's really disappointing for a lot of fans. But for me, I knew we were still a really raw team. We didn't get much chemistry together, so I'm not too surprised that we're going through a stretch that's this bad. It will get worse though if we miss the playoffs, because we got a pretty good cushion when it comes to us having a home game in the playoffs, and we kind of just soiled it.
Yeah. Well, look, guys, we're gonna wrap things up here because we got to do the second portion of the show. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you, Jonny. I want to thank you, Alex. And look, El Tráfico is this weekend, so we got a lot of things set up for that. So thank you guys for being on. All right. So we got the second portion of the show. We got LAFC live. We have Back in Black. We also got LAFC Edge back live. How you doing?
Good. Glad to be back. Thanks for having me, Gio. I feel a little underdressed. I don't know if those guys are going to Sadie's Hawkins or something, but happy to be
Look, they came ready, man. They came with the suits. I gotta look. I felt so underdressed, with what I was rocking. But Back in Black, how you doing? How you feeling?
Oh,
You're on mute. I think you're on mute. Back, you're on mute. I gotta unmute.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah,
There
feeling okay. Got a little nose thing going on, so apologize for the voice. But yeah, I mean, what can you expect from the gentleman over there, Carson? Good props. Props to the props as usual.
Props to the props. Edge, how you doing? Welcome back.
Hey, thanks. Doing good, man. Doing good. Just glad to be back on the pod.
Yeah, look, all right, guys. Let's get into it. It was a game, right? It was look. Let's talk about everything, right? Almeida had talked about Carlos Vela. We were JP wrote a great piece on it. What that meant and different things. So we got to find out a little bit more about that. Was this Almeida, playing chess? Was this Almeida wanting, potentially get a player like Carlos Vela and all these different things? So there was a lot of storylines leading up to this game. It was a big game for LAFC, right? To get some points, right? They're at 8th spot. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way. It didn't go the way you guys imagined. Live 3 minutes in, and got LAFC already conceded a goal. What went through your mind when that happened?
same thing that always happens with the defense, just mistake after mistake. We're kind of getting numb to it. At least I am. I've been numb to it now. When I see something like that, I just shake my head and just move on because I'm used to it. It's kind of sad. Miscommunication, it's schoolboy errors all over the place. If you're a young coach on a team of, a youth side, you want to show them what not to do. That would be the clip to show them. It's pretty embarrassing, but this whole season has been that. In a nutshell, that clip, that's been the season right there.
Yeah, let me go ahead and play the clip. Not to rub it in, but I think it's a point to show.
Away from a start like this where LAFC clearly have the foot on the pedal. I'll wait on that answer as they split the defenders. Romano's off his line. That's going to go all the way through for Benji Kikanovic. And LAFC left shorthanded in the back. And the earthquake.
Obviously, back in black. You see that 3 minutes in. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, poor goal, poor defensive. It seems like the mentality is not there before the game start. You have an opportunity to you come right off the gate. You have an opportunity to show up. It seemed like that, and that's what I'm trying to say here. That the first 2 minutes we're gonna be the aggressor, and then you immediately get thrown like a bucket of water in our heads, and essentially that's how I felt. it changed from a good mood and being optimistic about the game outcome to essentially knowing like, because we've been here so many times, what the outcome would be. And, it turned out to be true, and actually it turned out to be quite bad because we didn't even get on the board, contrary to some of the other games that at least our offense showed up. But we knew that the result was going to be adverse.
No, with you. It was not the result or the expectation. Edge, what were your thoughts? Obviously, early going into this game. What were your thoughts when that happened?
It wasn't even surprising, to be honest. I think LAFC is notoriously famous for lacking focus the very beginning and at the very end of each half. So when I saw it, it was really disappointing. Of course, you always go in thinking that we're going to come in and win this game and dominate it. And then to see that happen, what really killed me was towards the end of that play, how it just looked like the players just gave up before the goal even went in. Like they were just jogging alongside the striker. And it's like, it felt like they were lacking urgency. I don't know. There's definitely mentality problems there. And I think that was the overall problem with this game. It just seemed like a huge mentality problem. To go into what those mentality problems are is speculative, but all of us have our own thoughts on why we're having these mental problems. But there was definitely a lapse there, and everyone could see that it was mental, and we just lacked focus. And it's frustrating. It's so frustrating to see as an LAFC fan.
Yeah, look, I want to bring something up, which I think you rarely even see this lineup, right? I was on the bench, right? We know they just signed Jamal Blackman, but you have Pablo Cisnegas. So you have two goalkeepers in the bench, which is, to me, it's surprising. I don't know if I've ever seen it. I don't think you need two goalkeepers in the bench. I think that is the biggest thing. We know you used an international spot for that. And to me, it's like, where is the mindset, right? To have two goalkeepers on the bench, right? Live, when you see that you have two goalkeepers, you don't, by no means do you need three goalkeepers to travel. I don't know, unless you're expecting a wild, physical, crazy game. But even then, I think two goalkeepers are enough. What were your thoughts when you saw two goalkeepers on the bench?
Why is there two goalkeepers on the bench? I mean, this isn't a preseason friendly where everyone's trying to get a little bit of minutes, but that was just it was crazy to me. We're playing away. We need every point we can get, trying to sneak into the playoffs. And you have two goalies on the bench. I mean, Cal Jennings was loaned out. He's not even on the bench. Even young Christian Torres, where is he? Maybe he could have did something. And also, where's the new guy we just signed on loan? I don't know what's up with that. I mean, we signed him to score goals and do backflips and all this stuff, and you have two goalies on the bench. What was the thinking behind that? I'm not sure if anyone asked him, why did you have two goalies on the bench? I mean, maybe Jamal Blackman can play center forward. Maybe that's why he's on the bench. I honestly, it's just mind-boggling. And kudos to JT for that and Bob making those decisions. It's making it easier for everyone to see the light finally after the season's over.
Yeah, look, I think obviously Jamal Blackman's a goalkeeper, but with that thing that just like so head scratching with some of these moves, two goalkeepers. Back in Black, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, in regards to Jamal, I actually thought this was a perfect game for him to start. At the same time, maybe Bob already knew that they were going to lose because maybe they didn't want to start his new goalkeeper in a hostile kind of environment. For me, the main thing with the lineup was the big thing for me is Mark Anthony Kaye and Corey Baird not being available, because those guys from a depth standpoint would have been very helpful in a game like this where some of your DPs are out, right outside of international break. That's when I started questioning some of the moves done by the front office and what we've done in season, like the reactivity of it, where maybe we should have waited a little bit before dealing guys, right? Because now it's a mid-season game and we're lacking dudes. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, definitely lacking a lot of depth. Edge, what were your thoughts on the goalkeeper? Two goalkeepers on the bench.
I mean, it's obvious that we just lack depth. We have a lot of injuries. We don't have a lot of people. But like Live brought up, it really angered me that Jennings was not on this bench. Christian Torres, I could understand a little more. And I would have liked him on the bench nonetheless. But Jennings, really, he's doing pretty decent at Las Vegas Lights. And he just scored at the game that he was at instead of our game. And to not have Jennings was really mind-bending. I didn't understand that. And then on top of that, we didn't have any forward depth. I'd understand once again if we had some forward depth, but we had no forward depth. And then on top of that, Bob Bradley takes out Musovski at the 60th minute when we're losing. I understand that maybe we had midfield problems and all that. That's fine. But you made 4 substitutions, and one of them wasn't a forward. So, like, those were all very, like, weird coach calls. Like, I don't understand any of that, you know? And it's angering. Once again, I see problems with the front office here in John Thorrington with, as back in Black mentioned, with the sell of Mark Anthony Kay and Baird. Okay, that's great. That's fine that you do that, but bring in solid replacements. There weren't.
So I think let me just hit on that because people in the chat are saying
Okay.
Black and Black is referring to no replacements for K or replacements for Baird. I think Baird got replaced by Chicho. I think that kind of happened. But
Okay,
I think
yeah,
just to clear things up,
Yeah,
what you guys are saying, there was no essential replacement when K went. There was no
Yeah.
replacement for him, like
And-
1-for-1.
And what I
I
also
still
think
think you could have signed Chicho and kept Baird on your bench. You know,
Yeah.
Baird is just Baird, and I know it was
100%.
tight to bring a player, you know, of Chicho's caliber and is making good money, but it's still. I am referring to the depth. You should not have traded Corey Baird if you just got at him. He just arrived at our club. You know, we could be responsible for.
Well, I think let me if I can clear
destroying his
that out.
career.
I think Baird also left because Brian Rodriguez. There was the whole Brian
It
Rodriguez.
doesn't
But
matter.
I
He's an
get
American. He can play for us.
I
He
look, I
should have
completely-
played. And then
I-
where
Well,
is B-Rod, right?
that
Don't even get me started on the B-Rod. I almost fell in love with him again, and I'm now like convinced that he's just soft. Like, where is he? Like, and where did he get hurt? You know, and I don't even want to get started with Brian Rodriguez conversation.
Well, look, that's
I
some
mean,
of the
besides-
limitations of the MLS. Go ahead, Edge.
besides the sells, it's what are we doing with all that GAM, all that money that we got from the sale of Mac
Fair question.
and for Baird. Like, I was excited because I'm like, okay, we're gonna do some MLS moves, which, you know, MLS player moves, which we need. That's another big problem that we have. We have all these young players or just overall inexperienced signings, and we're lacking chemistry. We're lacking overall MLS experience on the field, which many attribute to our failure. We just lack that. And then there's no moves. There's no MLS moves. I'm sorry. There was Ibiaga, and that was good. But we needed midfield signings like that and forward signings
And
with
just
all that money.
Go ahead, live.
point at Edge, when you talked about, was it last week, I think, when you talked about John Thornton, I started really thinking about that since you made some great points. And I put JT out. I put a picture of him. So he has a nice trim. He talks nice, but he's just not the guy. And someone asked me on Twitter, is like, what? Because I said it's been mishandled. A lot of stuff's been mishandled. He asked me to elaborate, and I got pointer. The Horta DP situation. He whipped on that. Zimmerman leaving, no replacement. Murillo is a fraud. I'm going to be honest with you. He's a fraud. He's not a replacement for Zimmerman. He's nowhere near Zimmerman's level.
That was Zimmerman's replacement, supposedly.
Not good enough. Handled Rodriguez drama poorly. Yes, he's back, but the whole situation was ugly. It sucked as fans. That wasn't right. Honestly, if you're going to sell him, just sell him. Don't go back and forth. No veterans in the squad. You look back from the supporter shield when we won it to now, who legit is like the veterans that you're going to lean on? There really isn't that many. No number 9 from the start of the season. Corey Baird was not the answer. We had to wait a few months to get Chicho in. We should have had him from the very beginning if that was going to be the guy. No proper goalkeeper since day one of this football club. No depth. Fido, remember him? You guys remember him? He was going to be the big star. Yeah, he sucked. And we went from a contender to mediocre in one season. How does that happen? How does that happen?
I think even not even just that. You guys were expected to be winning the championship, not fighting for 8-7 seed thing. And I think that's the thing. So let's have this conversation then. Do you feel this is more Bob's fault, or do you feel this is more John Thornton's
I feel like
because to me, I think there's a divide. I think there's a divide. I know I may be cutting here, but I think there's a divide between the two because of what you're seeing, what the type of players. I'm assuming. Let me just be clear. There may be some type of divide because of the players that are coming in and the players that are needed, right? And these aren't the type of play. These aren't the expect. Right? Look, let's be honest. Even when I shared this the thing on Twitter about Raheem Edwards and I think Murillo, there's frustrations. Look, this is sports. There's gonna be frustrations. I think someone had commented that I was like stirring things up. I was like,
oh no, I saw that.
No. But let me address that. As like, the individual that said that it doesn't understand how sports work. Like when things aren't going good, things aren't going good. Me posting something like that is not.
They're very
It's just
frustrating.
it's just someone is just soft and doesn't understand sports. I've been around sports. I've been in NBA locker rooms, MLB locker rooms. Go check the Dodgers. Go check the Lakers. Like if you're so soft about me posting that, don't be in sports. But to another point is that when you see a frustration with Raheem Edwards and Murillo, it's happening in the locker room because they're not winning. It's not just because of they lost. No, this team, there's so many frustrations that so many people aren't seeing within and out the locker room. Yeah, 3-game win streak is cool, but it was just a band-aid on a really deep scar that this team really is going through. Let me get your thoughts.
Yeah, it's the up and down that we all talk about. We don't know which team's going to show up and who the leaders are to sort of conduct the carriage towards the game, towards the win, and so which means opening games and closing games out. And we see that the in between seems to work, but we cannot close a game, and we definitely are very loose off the gate. So I always point out at the top of the salary sheet and who's getting paid the most, or
the
who
most
are the
valued
top
players,
5 players
Yep.
that are really getting paid the most to make the most amount of difference, right? And if they're taking their share or too much of that share, is there enough for the developmental players to fill this roster, and then we can be successful as a club, right? It's a strategy move, and it starts with the front office. Ultimately, we cannot replace 3 players like we lost, like in Zimmerman, and now Vela, right, being out as much as he has been in the last 2 years, and now Diego Rossi, leaving as well. We haven't replaced this much talent in our roster, and it's showing. So I feel like it's almost unfair to, ask Bob Bradley to get to the promised land as he was supposed to when his roster completely changed in the middle of the season, right? So this is why I keep pointing out to the business side of it, who engineered the roster and why did it fail? Because now it's a failure, right? And now to answer the question you asked earlier, whose fault is it, right? I don't believe it's about whose fault is it.
Who's
right?
more at fault? Yeah.
But more than anything is like, how do you fix it, right? There's 3 pieces here: replace players, replace coaches, replace front office that will ultimately replace players. So you have 3 choices here, and I'm always going to go path of least resistance. What's easiest to change here without breaking this entire club? And go slow on it, because you can break the thing. If you change too fast, you're going to change the culture. And if you change the culture, you may not like the results.
Well, I didn't think no one even look, I was at the beach and I was wearing this sweater, the LA Soccer Hub sweater. And I was talking to LAFC fans. They're like, "Oh, do you talk blah, 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 short story?" I was like, "Yeah, I cover both teams, blah, blah, blah." They're like, "Oh, I'm an LAFC fan, this and that." And they said something to me that I've been saying to me, like watching this game. They're like, "I don't even recognize this roster anymore." They're like, "I've been a fan since day one. I've never met this person, just be clear. I was just talking to them at the beach." And I was like, "Yeah, check out the podcast, blah, blah." And they were like, "I don't even recognize this roster anymore," And I don't know how in tune they are, but I was like, that's what I've been thinking. Obviously, there's so many injuries and all these different things, but the development, like you're saying, the development. But honestly, back, I think there's no culture right now. There's no culture. I think that might already been broken with this season because there's so many high expectations. Obviously, a change is inevitable, but what I think you're getting at, what change should be made. But I think where we've seen LAFC go through, I think maybe they may or may not make the right decision. Edge, let's get your thoughts on this. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I think that's a great point. And I think what people are seeing is, yeah, they don't recognize the team, but I don't think there would be a problem with that if this new team were like magnificent, right? But what happens is that we're noticing the failures, and then this isn't working. And so this is where the problem lies. I mean, obviously, teams change within a few years, and LAFC, this is the 4th season, so you're going to expect changes, but the changes, while they're abundant because of injuries and new players overall, it's because they're just doing bad and they're not working out for us.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the frustrating thing about when you watch LAFC, because look, I've seen LAFC just everybody from the start, and this was the year that I was like, all right, how to me, I was like, how are they going to handle the pressure? How are they going to handle everybody coming at their head? And I just didn't feel from the start there was not enough reinforcements to add the depth and so many different things. I think they relied on too much, whether it was JT, whether it was Bob. We know Bob's job is a coach. We know JT essentially his job is to bring in players, recruit, and do all those different things. But I think the players that were brought in, there's too much young talent. And yeah, it's promising, but you're not gonna win an MLS Cup with a bunch of 18 years old. I'm sorry, it's just
And
not. You know.
could I?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Could I add to that too? Is that like I think if I could be speculative here, I think what is happening, the mental problem is that the expectations are of LAFC overall. Like, hey, you need to have your cup. This is your fourth season. What's going on? Why aren't you like Atlanta that got their cup in the second year? You guys were supposed to be that. It's only getting worse. I think that mentality is infiltrated into the coaching and the front office, into these young players, into these inexperienced players, and then they're getting frustrated because they can't perform to that level that they need. And that's where I think these arguments are coming from, these lack of performance.
Hold on, explain that a little bit more. Are you saying that break that down a little bit, because I didn't really understand that.
Okay, so basically, I think this pressure that LAFC has overall, the front office, to get the MLS Cup is being transferred into these young players who are not experienced enough. And then when they fail, inevitably, because they're just young and inexperienced, it becomes frustration on the field, and there's lacking chemistry, there's mental problems, a collapse in the team. So it's not fair. I see this as a front office problem. Get the players that you want to win you these cups. You can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You want a return on investment in players, right? And you're getting these young players, and then you want those players in return to bring you a cup. But that's not balanced. You need to have a mixture of experience, MLS experience, prime players, and youth players, and then put on that pressure. But don't get these players who've never played for the MLS or that are 18 years old and tell them, we need the cup. What's going on? Why did you guys lose? And this is undue pressure on them.
Yeah. No, look, I think you hit the nail on the head, because it's way too much to ask for these young guys to do all these different things. And right, they're going to commit mistakes and all these, but like, you don't even have to go that far to get defensive players and all these different things, right? Whether that's Bob, whether that's JT, obviously we don't know for 100% right now. We can speculate on all these things, but like what we do know, it's not working. And LAFC is doing terrible. They're not looking good. This is not where they should be. Live, when you see that, and you were talking about JT and all these. I know you're already you're Bob out and all these different things, but what are your thoughts when you see the roster construction, how this team was built, all these young guys? Obviously you can't have both guys, but I know you're Bob out. I know you're not a fan of JT, but who are you more leaning? Because obviously let's be honest, you're one of the most vocal voices on Twitter, if we're going to be honest about your team, which many people may not believe that you're a diehard LAFC fan, but you definitely are. You're just not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine.
It doesn't bother me that people call me out on stuff. It's just that it's not all unicorns and rainbows for me.
100%.
I'm just realistic, and if you can't handle it, just either block me or just scroll. It doesn't bother me. I'm looking at this lineup from against San Jose. 5 to 6 of those players on LAFC would not start for Seattle. That kind of tells you how good this roster is, which it sucks. I'll be honest, it sucks. And I honestly think if we had a different manager too, the best managers in the world, the good managers can get the best out of their players. And I guarantee you, I'm just going to be straight up honest. If Tata Martino and Bob Bradley switched for those 4 years, when he was at Atlanta and Bob was at LAFC, I guarantee we'd have an MLS Cup, and we probably have a Supporter Shield, and maybe even a U.S. Open Cup as well. I think we have more trophies if we had Tata Martino and Bob was at Atlanta. And if Bob, I know, maybe he's really frustrated with the roster. He thinks it's weak and he's not getting the players he wants. This is his final contract or his final year in his contract. If you're not happy, then just walk. And then that way, JT still stays here, and then he's going to bring a new coach, and then JT will probably get the sack too once this roster keeps getting worse and worse and worse. If I were Bob, Cincinnati's open. They have a GM opening as well, I think. I would go down to Cincinnati start fresh, and you get the players you want with the GM that you want. Because I don't
Yeah.
know, JT, if he was hired, because Bob wanted him, or because the owners just okay, well, this guy played in MLS, he's
Well, I
American.
think JT was hired first. I think JT was first. I think JT hired Bob. JT hired Bob. So
Either
JT was
way,
first.
the relationship probably sucks now because the results aren't doing well, and they're probably frustrated at each other. But if I were Bob, and if we don't make the playoffs, I wouldn't even let the owners or anyone fire me. I would just walk. I'll just say, all right, thank you. Put out my resignation letter, and I'm out. That's it.
Well, I think at this point it's
Writing's on the wall.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall. Whether he
Yeah,
gets
he's gonna
fired
have
again, or
options,
he walks,
Cincinnati.
Yeah. Whether look, the
Toronto.
Bob is gonna get a job regardless. So
Oh yeah, of course.
like we all understand that, but I think we will see whether, like, obviously if JT gets another coach, we're gonna see if it really was JT or if it really was Bob, because we're also gonna see the rush and construction. Look, another thing about LAFC, they're such a young team, right? And we're seeing all these mistakes. Right, the benefit that I have, I see how the other team across town does certain things. Obviously, I can compare and contrast, but it's like, to me, it's like there's too many young guys on this team. Back. Let's get your thoughts on that, on the frustrations between potentially, Bob Bradley and John Thornton.
Well, I expressed some of this in the in our show earlier, in the moves not making a lot of sense for what the needs are of the players. So it's not necessarily that one is bad or the other. JT may be a really good GM, but he just might not be gelling with this particular head coach and suppressing the needs that he has. And the Eddie Segura injury was a pretty good example of that, where we replaced it with a player that didn't really fit the caliber that Eddie brought to this team, and everything was a house of cards after Eddie left, due to injury. So, again, and the second piece of it is the leadership on the field that doesn't show, especially when you're on the road. When you look at our record at home and compared to some of the other teams, we're not that far off, actually. Only about 3 points separates us from the top of the table if you only look at our home records, right? Because in MLS, man, everyone wins at home. That's your bread and butter. We're doing the bread and butter. What we're not doing is winning on the road. So we have to look at who's responsible for orchestrating what? A roster of players that can win on the road. And as you said at Edge, you cannot do it with youth. If it's too much youth, it's going to show. And when does it show? On the road. When you go to Portland, when you go to Seattle, when you have a playoff game out of, that is not on the bank, that's going to show, and you're going to lose, and you're going to lose a lot. And that's the difference between last 2 seasons and this season. And I'm not counting 2020. As I said, 2020 is an asterisk, right? But 2018 and 2019, we were setting all kinds of records because our players knew how to go on the road, kick some butt. But now, it seems like we go over there, mom on the fall, like deer in the headlights, right? Comes to the bank, amazing. Goes on the road, shaky. And you can name a player and the story is exactly the same. And then you start pointing out, like, why is it that they cannot perform on the road? And that might be a coaching issue.
Yeah, look, I also think, the thing with, Diego Rossi, right? Second year, 2019, amazing, but obviously he didn't really break out till the third season, right? Last season, 2020, he won the Golden Boot. Even with all these young guys that they have, I think eventually some are going to be promising, but the year that you're supposed to win the MLS Cup and everybody expected you, I don't think those were the guys. And one thing that youth doesn't have over veteran players is experience. There's no way you could fast track experience, right? And I think that was that's maybe what's hurt LAFC a lot this year, because when I was looking at the team, I was like, okay, yeah, even if you have this, look, you're gonna have injuries regardless. No one expected Vela or these long type of injuries or anything like that. And again, obviously now maybe something else. But I want to switch over things. I want to look at the standings. Obviously, even though they lost, you guys didn't move from 8th place, but everybody else, I think, caught up. Obviously, in 9th place, Vancouver, 33 points, tied with you guys. San Jose, who beat you guys, it's 33 points in 10th place. So not that much changed. People moved up there in the bottom. RSL is at 36 points, number 7th. And the 6th spot, Minnesota with 37 points. Galaxy with 38 points in the 5th spot. And Portland Timbers, who you guys play on Wednesday, with 40 points. Live, tell me how you feel about the standings outside looking in. You're 3 points away from the 7th seed. Portland's coming to town. We saw what they did to RSL. How you feeling about this game?
I'll be realistic. I think we're gonna get piped. I honestly think we're gonna get piped. Probably like 4-1. Probably.
Really?
Yeah, 4-1. I honestly think we're gonna get piped 4-1.
These games are always physical, though.
Yeah, we never win the physical battle. So there you go. We're gonna lose probably 4-1. I'm being realistic.
4-1.
I honestly can't. I'm trying to be positive here. I can't see us winning this game.
Very positive.
I'm trying to be positive, but we're gonna lose 4-1.
Okay, if I was negative, it'd be 6-1, just like what they did the other day. But this defense against Portland's physical. We're not. We're tactically clueless on the sideline. We never know who's going to start anymore. We don't know the injury situation. It's not looking good for us. It's not good for the fans too, man. I feel bad because all the 3252 and all those guys and girls that travel to all these states and everything, giving it the all, and the people on the pitch just don't care at times. And especially at home. This is where, like Back in Black said, you're supposed to win. This is your bread and butter. MLS, you win at home. We don't do that anymore. When we do, it's every other game or every other 3 games, So if you want to make a playoff push, this is the game where you got to win. I've been saying that for the past couple weeks. Yeah, thank you. But honestly, I think 4-1. I think we're going to lose 4-1. And I hate to say it, but I'm being realistic, man.
Back, what are your thoughts? Are you
That
a little bit
would
more
immediately
optimistic?
that would immediately result in someone being released.
Yeah.
Released,
Look, if you get
I'll
embarrassed
tell you
at
that.
home,
First and foremost, you would not. That would have been a first, because if you look as the away team, Portland has never beaten us. Okay, never. That's since 2018. It's never happened. They always beat us at home. So if this would have happened, and if it's that big of a score, eventually it would lead to Bob Bradley being dismissed. So he's coaching with his ASS on the line, and I believe he's going to win, because that's what he does when he's back against the wall. And I believe it's going to be a slim, crazy win like we've had against RSL, 3-2.
3-2. Edge, how do you see this? How do you see this game tomorrow
I
or Wednesday? Sorry.
I believe we're insanely unpredictable. We won SKC 4-0 at home, and we could lose this game. So there's really no predicting this LAFC. It's going to be a mental thing. And if we go in with the right mindset, as in this is war, we could win this. I still think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. Whether we lose 1-0, win 1-0, tie 1-1, I think it's going to be low-scoring. I think we're going to play this game like a final, and we're going to be defensive, and it's going to be aggressive. And, yeah, that's my prediction.
Yeah, look, not just Wednesday, but what is it, Sunday? I got El Tráfico, right? Sunday's El Tráfico, too. So it's like 2 games that are not definitely not easy, but 2 games that could definitely look. And the positive, if there's a positive in this, I think Galaxy have not looked good, right? They're on 7-game winless streak. 7-game winless streak. Obviously, I know you guys went as far as 8, but you guys know how that is. So anything is possible. Obviously, they also play on Wednesday. But live, obviously, I know you don't think you guys will get the win on Wednesday. But what are your thoughts on facing Galaxy on the weekend?
Those games are always tough to call. Like, it's legit always craziness when we play against them. We're playing at their place. Oh God, yeah, they've been crap. We've been crap. I think it's going to be probably 2-2. I think honestly 2-2. Probably a PK in the game. Someone's going to get a red, maybe. I don't know.
Red.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
gracious.
That
It's
game,
the final game, though. But like, you guys, you would need to win this because you guys haven't won one this
But
year.
I will say that if we lose that game away to Carson and we lose against Portland too, I think that's it. That's the nail in the coffin. No,
We keep saying it.
For JT, for Bob Bradley. That's it. I'm being serious. Like, you lose that game.
JT's a co-president, though. We forget that. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
how
I don't
hard
think
is
he's going
Boca
anywhere.
Negra, man. He's Boca Negra.
Yeah, I don't. Who's
He's
gonna
locked.
drop the co-president? Like, when you
Nobody.
think about that, we just think of him as a general manager, but no, he's a co-president.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So how the hell are we gonna get him out? Like, this is gonna be like an.
It's gonna have to be. It's got to take the fans. It's got to take the fans. But I know
Yeah. So it's not going to be even if we don't make the playoffs and we lose horribly. I feel like JT is going to be there next season.
For years,
really
he's going to be there for
100%.
years. Let me. He's
I
going to
don't
be.
think-
Look. If
it
Chris
doesn't
Klein
matter
has
for-
been with the Galaxy for what 5+
Yep.
years, committing the things he's done
Yep.
to a historic organization,
He
it's not
protected his position, and even if we're wooden spoon next year, I don't think we're going to lose him.
Yeah, I think JT is definitely in the long tail. Back in Black, what are your thoughts on facing Galaxy this weekend?
Oh, we have a massive opportunity. There's 6 points on the board, 2 teams right above us. And if we win 6 out of 6, guess what? We're right at the middle of it all. So, the season's lost. It's not. It starts today. It starts on Wednesday. It's playoff time. It really is. The playoffs started already. And I hope we have a roster. And then this has been my frustration with MLS. They have to tighten up the injury reporting. It's ridiculous. I'm a gambler. I went to Vegas and I couldn't even touch those MLS lines because we don't know who's going to play, who's not going to show up. We don't know who's going to start, And again, it has to be cleaned up, and we have to understand what's going on behind the scenes. You guys are not allowed as media to go to the training grounds anymore. So I really wanted to use this platform to register my frustration with Major League Soccer and how they've handled, transparency. Because as reporters, you guys are entitled to information, and as gamblers, I'm entitled to information as well.
Look, what's so funny?
Grow a sport in the United States.
It's funny. Like a year ago, Alicia Rodriguez and I, we talked about that. We talked about the importance of gambling and knowing the injury information, right, to build rosters or to go one-on-one, or to if you're going to bet the money line or whatever you're going to do, right? This may be a foreign language to someone, but injury reports are key, because if you want to place a big bet or you have all these parlays, or you're building a lineup, if you're doing daily fantasy or whatever. But the MLS is just not there.
Everything, the fantasy is massive, right? You're trying to build an audience. You're trying to get people in the.
But what I'm saying, the MLS is just not there from what I've seen. They don't have it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you want to be big boy, you want to be big leagues. You have to start thinking big, and you have to be
100%.
transparent, and you have to build systems that allow you to be transparent, right? I know it's not easy, and it's not going to be overnight, but it's a massive issue for a fan that wants to go to the park to see these players, and we show up with half a USL roster, man. Like, that is not cool. I paid to see Vela +6, and if you don't see, you know what I mean? Like, plus, 6 USL players, and Vela's not there now. Now you're only seeing USL guys, right? So it almost seems like they're giving up, and like, I don't feel like showing up today, right? Is B-Rod really, really hurt, right? Now you start really kind of thinking about what these injuries really mean and how do they happen, right? He was fine, and all of a sudden he's not.
Yeah, the B-Rod thing was a surprise to me. Edge, let's get your final thoughts here. Obviously facing Portland, first game. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But what are your thoughts, obviously, after the game against Galaxy? How do you see these two games?
How do I see the Portland and the Galaxy games?
Yep.
Prediction wise, like what the outcome?
Nobody's points game. How many? If you guys will win 1 or 2, or how do you feel about those?
Once again, I'm not a predictor, and I feel like this team is a roller coaster. If you ask me 2019, I'd say we win. If this year, I have no answer for you. This team is insanely volatile, and I don't know what I'm going to get when I go into these games. I really thought we were going to win the last 2 games, and we didn't. And I don't know. I could say I think tomorrow will most likely be a tie, and Galaxy, I think we might get the win. I think this is going to be the odd fucking ball game.
That would be LAFC's season.
Yeah, I think it's so unpredictable.
Get a
We're
tie
going the
against
most
Timbers,
unpredictable.
or lose against tie against Timbers, and then beat Galaxy and Galaxy.
Yeah,
that would be the most.
Yeah,
here's my answer: is Vela playing? He plays, we win.
Vela plays is a different story, 100%.
Yeah,
Vela plays.
But he's not even going to be in. He's going to be coming out of like training.
Vela coming off the
better
bench.
Than Crisostomo.
No, I agree. Don't get me wrong.
I'm totally going off the script.
I want Vela to play. Don't get me wrong, but I wish he started the last game to get him prime for Galaxy. But he's not going to start Portland, and it's he's going to come out weak versus Galaxy, and that's upsetting to me. But still, don't get me wrong. I'll take Vela below prime over any of the players right now.
No, fair enough. We've gone over, guys, but look, what I'm gonna say is it's gonna be interesting Wednesday. I'm gonna be there, back in Black. Are you guys gonna be? Are any of you guys gonna be at the game on Wednesday?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll
sir.
be there.
Yeah, cool. We'll definitely have to see if we can meet up and stuff. Definitely chat before the game or at halftime, whatever. But look, that's all the time we have. We'll be back here. Obviously, it's a rivalry week as well. Obviously, it's weird with the mid game on Wednesday, so we got a lot of things set up. But I want to thank my guests live, back in black, Marvin. So for these fellas, I'm Jill. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.